right. Welcome, everyone. You've already successfully completed the first game of the day. You found the right room. Good job. Yes. Oh, Tommy's not on.
I'm on. So, that means we have a tie score, right?
What?
Okay, Tommy's right. If the game was finding the room, then all these people found the room. So they'll have the same number of points. That's a tie, right?
Yeah, like the dreaded shared victory, right?
This is just supposed to be a simple introduction. Are we really going to do this? This is not a problem. We can just take the temperature of the room. Is everyone okay with a shared victory, or do we need a tiebreaker?
Whoa. There's always one who cannot share the limelight.
All right, so let me roll a die.
Oh,
We've got a method here.
We have a method here.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Wait, where's
I have
the
a die
stuff?
here.
Oh my
Okay, it's D20, right? So I'm going to roll it. We start on that side or that side? We can start on that side, right?
Okay.
And I mean, number we get, you guys can win special prize or something, right? So let's go.
All right.
my God.
Okay. Spotlight, please. It's a 6.
Heyo.
Oh.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got a winner right here. We have broken the tie. You win the prize. I hope you're all happy.
So, all right, everyone. So I should say, my name's Tommy. I'm from Asmodee, and I'll be hosting the live presentations and presenting a little bit later on tomorrow, actually.
Love it.
Yeah.
And I'm Mandy Hutchinson, one half of Salt and Sass Games. And yes, I know you're all dying to know, yes, I am the saltier of the two.
Yes, she definitely is. Hi, I am Rodney Smith. I am the host and creator of the YouTube channel Watch It Played.
We want to thank you all for joining us for the 4th edition of Canada Plays, hosted by Asmodee.
We hope you've had fun last night between the cocktails, karaoke, and, of course, gaming.
Hands up if you did all 3. Oh, we got some hands.
Ah, okay, now that's what we should give prizes out
Yes,
for.
that's right.
Yes.
Yeah, no kidding. Very impressive. Very impressive.
We have a lot going on actually this year. So we have an app though as well too, so you guys can follow up and give a chance to create your own schedule, chat with any of us if you want.
Yeah, we're going to have, there's going to be a painting contest, a game of giant werewolves. Is there going to be giant werewolves, or is it just
Wait,
a
no.
lot of people playing werewolf?
Oh, actually,
That's
a lot
important.
of people playing werewolves.
Okay,
Yeah, so
okay,
we
good.
have it.
We'll be doing some
30 people.
speed puzzling and just, of course, a ton of games.
All right. Also in this room, you're going to be treated to excellent presentations from qualified experts. You can use the app to ask questions during the Q&A.
Yeah, on the docket today, you're going to hear from Asmodee Game in Lab. We have peer-to-peer presentations and many others, including me.
You're giving a presentation today?
Yes, I am at 4.
Oh, well, wait a minute. Then let me correct what I said earlier. You'll be hearing from mostly qualified presenters.
No, yeah.
That's all right.
You know what? That's perfectly fair. That's perfectly fair. Yes.
So let's get this going. So have fun, everyone.
Yes.
And the live presentation start now. And I'd like to introduce you to Jason Pickford. There you go.
The name's Joe?
I guess, yeah.
True, Mitch Buzz. Thanks. Welcome to everyone. I'll kind of recap what I said yesterday because I think nobody heard me from the cocktail. I think they were pouring ice and it was a little too loud. It was mostly thank yous. Thank yous to our staff. Thanks you to our partners and everyone who's traveled far to get here. We try to build a safe space kind of show. We don't want it to be a trade show where it's just, I need to show up at 9 and have my presentation, see, and then go on to the next booth. We want to make it more of a community feel. That's why we are happy to have some game designers here, some publishers that we don't deal with here. And we find that it's super important for us to share our meals together. So the concept is a little bit different, and we do feel the vibe over 2 days. There's a lot of connections that have happened, and that's really what ultimately we're all about. Today, I want to make sure that I present someone that for me is super, super important. And I am very happy that he has decided to make this journey to come see you guys, our CEO, Thomas Kogler. Thomas has been instrumental, obviously, from bringing our business into a publicly listed company. He spearheaded that major project. And most of you have noticed as well some of the new branding. Taking the asmodee brand almost as a holding brand to a consumer-facing brand. This shift is a massive shift for all of us. And most of us have seen all the new stuff that's coming. And we're excited to finally have a brand to rally behind. So a big high five and welcome, Thomas. Thanks, Jason. I'm not on. Am I on? I would take yours. All right. This must much be better. Hi, everybody. We thought it would be a good idea, taking the opportunity that I'm here to share a bit more about who we are at asmodee, because you know your partners here in Canada, but I know there's a lot of misconception on who asmodee is worldwide. And, well, why not just tell you how I see things, how we see things, so that you can have a bit of a better understanding of who we are, what we're trying to achieve. Um, and as Jason said, we did roll out a new branding that I'm very proud of because it represents who we are. And what best than having a short video to explain that to you.
Welcome to Asmodee's Table. For over 30 years, we've been by your side with infinite stories, crafting games you love and live. Because everything starts with you. The player, the explorer, the strategist, the one who says, just one more round. We pay tribute to your passion, your creativity, your way to play. Like you, we dare to try and we push limits to craft unforgettable, bold, and immersive shared experiences. Whether you're clashing in epic battles, building worlds piece by piece, or sharing inside jokes, you belong at the table. At Asmodee, we promise to always raise the game, to make this adventure extraordinary, and to always stay inspired by players. Asmodee, inspired by players.
So inspired by players, it's not just a tagline, a say, it's what we are. I mean, if you look in every area of the company, whether it's in our distribution units, in our studios, but also in the central functions that have to exist in a pretty large group, we're a bunch of gamers. I'm a big gamer. Everybody, when we have a leadership retreat, our team building is done by playing games. That's who we are every single day. We're like you, basically. And the inspired by players, it's not just the consumers. Of course, it's all the players of the ecosystem that we all evolve in. It's you, the stores, it's the publishers, it's the authors, it's the game designers, it's the manufacturers, it's the players. It's all of this that makes an ecosystem where we hope, or we work every single day at making every area thrive, because without those, we wouldn't thrive. So it's in our interest that everybody succeeds. And what we really want is build partnerships. We summarized it, and that's the end of the corporate bullshit. We summarized it in a vision and a mission, but it's really celebrating everybody. I think that's very important. We're part of a community full of diversity, of many different profiles, and we want to celebrate them, celebrate the players. And our role, by creating and putting to market games, is creating excuses for people to spend time together. And I think it's a great mission. It's a good way of trying to change the world, because we're in a world where there is a lot of tension, there is a lot of complications. And as soon as you sit down around the table playing a game, suddenly you can have people supporting opposing teams that can join the moment and have a good time. We're a global company. As you can see, we come from Europe originally. That's where Asmodee was created 30 years ago. Fun fact, our US business from, 2008 till 2015 was ran out of Montreal by a bunch of French-speaking people with a warehouse in Buffalo, and then it moved to Minnesota. But our presence in Canada has been for quite some time, and it's a place that's dear to our heart. We've been expanding also internationally, and the latest step we've taken is setting up a studio in Japan. You all know that there is a lot of innovation coming, especially in card games, but not only card games, from the Japanese creators scene. And so it was very important for us to have a presence there so that we could bring even more great games everywhere in the world. Speaking about games, I don't have to tell you, but when I talk about Asmodee, people look at me like, what is Asmodee? And then I say, well, do you know Catan? Do you know Ticket to Ride? Do you know Double Spotted? Do you know Exploding Kittens? And I see people's eyes opening. And whether it's someone from my family I talk to, a banker, a business partner,
everybody interacts with asmodee and with our products in one way or another, either through the most renowned brands or the games that we bring to market that we create from some fantastic universes like Star Wars, Marvel, more recently the Lego games that we did that we're pretty proud of. But also from a very deep catalog of games that stem from 30 years of innovation in the various studios. I think it's 24 studios now within the group. But we do not stop there. And that's something that's very, very, very important to us, is that not only do we bring to market the games that come from our own studios, but also from partners. It has been the history of asmodee. It will always be the history of asmodee, which is that we do not just care for our own products, we care for all the possible products. And the reason behind it is that, okay, we do have some pretty cool games that come from our studios, but we cannot be the best at everything. And what we want is for shops and consumers to have access to the best possible games ever. And these, I mean, I've played a few games yesterday night. You will see some of those on the show floor. There is so much innovation coming from established studios, from new studios that are created by young, bold people every day. And what we want is help them bring their products to market. So this will stay, and I can reassure everybody, it's part of our strategy. It's beyond that, it's part of our DNA to also bring to market games from partners. So what happened last year? Because it's been a bit of a busy year. Well, first of all, and it's people first. That's something that's very, very important to me, is that without the people of our company, nothing would exist. Today, we're around 2,300 people across the globe, and close to 170 in Canada, if you include Next Move, which is one of our studios. So pretty strong presence in Canada, in Brantford, in Vaudreuil. We, as a group, shipped over 150 million products last year. So if you divide it by seconds, it's many, many products per minute that are being shipped from all our warehouses everywhere. And we delivered around 1.6 billion euros in sales. That's a bit above 2.5 billion Canadian dollars. I'm not here to say I'm proud of the number. Yeah, it's a big number. It's just for people to understand that this is an industry. It's structured. There is publishers, distributors, retailers, and all of this is a very significant part of the entertainment industry. And we should be proud of what we achieve every single day. As I said, it was a bit of a busy year. asmodee became public. Shouldn't change anything for you. That's for sure. It's just that our ownership has moved from being privately owned by a company to now being on the Swedish stock market. But again, it doesn't change our strategy. It has absolutely no influence on how we conduct business. But we have to say we should be proud that there is a board game company, because asmodee, we only do board games, tabletop games, that is a significantly listed company. But we also had some cool partnerships. We started a partnership from Gamegenic with Magic, doing accessories. I saw some very, very cool stuff over there. It has started very, very fast with, I think, the Spider-Man set in September, October. We have become a major partner for Middle-earth Entertainment, doing category management for them, helping them basically trying to make more good Lord of the Rings games. Again, this is not just asmodee studios. It's open to all studios. But what we wanted is to help them curate and have the best possible games. And we like to grow the asmodee family through acquisitions. So we acquired a few IPs that were in distress at Simon. Cthulhu Death May Die, Sheriff of Nottingham, Zombicide. And we also brought in ATM Gaming. Pretty cool party games, super strong in Europe, hopefully stronger and stronger, or creating opportunities for all of us also up here. And a pretty nice prize, Toy Battle, we won the As d'Or in France. I like the game. It's one of the games that helped me play. My son is 15, so he's spending a lot of time PlayStation. That's the kind of games where I win gaming nights with him. So pretty cool. We have a lot of strategic pillars, but I just wanted to highlight a few that I think would be important to you. The first one is one of our priorities is to make people play. We all know that the best way of having people discovering games, buying games, is to play the games. So making them play on the shows, but not only, helping you also stores, having gaming nights, having programs to help you demo some products, etc., is something that's very important to us because we all know that, once someone has tried a game, the likelihood, if they like it, that they will buy it or gift it is extremely important. The second one is that we want to bring our relationship with retailers to the next level. We often have a client-supplier relationship. And the leadership team of asmodee, we really want to bring it to the level of a partnership. So we also need your feedback to Jason's team on how can we improve, what can we change, what can we set up so that we can make your lives easier, so that we can make you run your shops in an even more sustainable way thanks to things that we could bring. Because again, the better you are, the better we are. And lastly, that's the big hairy goal. In strategy, people like those, is to have one of our games in every home. Because I think that the day everybody will be a player, today penetration is around like 70% when we poll people. They say that they play games. Is that if we can have a game in every house, in every household, I think it will be a great achievement. Of course, it's also all about building communities. I don't have to tell it to you. The communities are what makes us live, what makes us breathe. It's where everything starts when you launch a new game, when we launch a new game. And communities, we try to address them in two ways. Online with Board Game Arena, there's roughly 10 million players across the globe, of which I think 400,000 just in Canada. So it is quite a significant community. And also in real life, by helping you, as I said, bring people or players to stores to discover games through initiatives like Hobby Next that we will be working a lot on in the coming years, because we think that it's a tool that can be very mutually beneficial to you and to us. What's coming up? First of all, shows. I mean, it's my favorite moments of the year. Going to Gen Con, going to Spiel, going to PAX Unplugged, going to Cannes, going to UK Games Expo in Birmingham. It's the moment where we get the direct feedback from as many consumers as we can. And I was in Cannes, that's the biggest French show. It's late February. And I was bringing in investors, because I do have to bring in investors. And I was like, have you seen people, what do they do with their phones? And they're like, well, they're on the phones. And I was like, no, look better. And nobody was on the phone because people were playing games or taking pictures of the games. And I think that's a very good example of how we, as an industry, connect people all the time, create opportunities for people to spend a good time together. And as said, nothing better than a good consumer show to get the feeling of what's happening. We also did some innovation. Something that we created. We started it in France. We hopefully will bring it to other shows, which is called the TCG Village. The objective, same. All TCGs on the market, not just the ones that we bring to market. But we think that often on shows, TCGs do not deserve the attention that they do not get the attention, that they deserve. And I know that they're taking more and more space on your shelves, on your revenue streams. And so we think that it's very important that we keep this and continue engaging with consumers. And there's one, of course, that we animate ourselves through qualifiers, planetary, sector, regional, and of course, the Galactics. First ones last July were a blast in Vegas. The next one are again in July in Vegas. Very much looking forward to this. It was a great moment of community engagement. And I did play some games, but I'm on a losing streak of 12 losses. Anyways, and it's also trying to find ways of celebrating beyond, I would say, the core community that attends the shows, that comes to the stores, etc. Because there is a lot of people that like playing games, but that are not hardcore gamers. Something was created a few years back, which is called the International Tabletop Day. I think it was Felicia Days and the crew over there. We would like to amplify this with the Board Game Fest. We did the first edition last year. It was just an internal event. So for one day at asmodee, everybody stopped working and played games for the entirety of the day because, again, it's what we like doing. This year, we'll start communicating a bit outside, and hopefully next year or in the coming years, we'll try to make it something a bit more global and probably try to include you stores in this activation, in this moment where we can bring in players to live a game of playing games. It was also a very busy year in Canada. We merged asmodee Canada and Lion Rampant. We all know it was tough. Mergers, moving warehouses. I know some of you suffered also because it was a challenge logistically. We're not shy of saying when we did mistakes or when times were difficult. It has improved, and I think now the team is pretty proud of the service that we are starting to deliver at a level that we like. New offices, and all of this while conducting business. So it's my moment to say kudos to the asmodee Canada team. I think that they deserve a round of applause for this. That's the end of my presentation. I think we have 10, 15 minutes for Q&A if you want to take the opportunity to ask
Yes,
questions.
absolutely.
Fully open to. There are some things I might not allowed to answer. We're in a black period in which I cannot share numbers beyond what happened end of December, and it's a bit of a constraint being the CEO of a listed company. But as much as I can, shoot, and I'll answer.
Anybody have any questions? I have a couple questions directly from let's start with this one. So what's the strongest trend or growth that asmodee currently sees in the industry?
I think the strongest is TCGs right now. I mean, it's a bit of an obvious one, but it's cyclical. We know it. So TCGs have ups and downs. Right now, it's quite the ride with some fantastic IPs. Pokemon is super strong. Magic is super strong. Very good releases in the past years, whether it's Lorcana or it's more recently Riftbound, Star Wars Unlimited from us, One Piece. One Piece is strong. And there is a big lineup of new TCGs also coming. So yeah, that's the big category. And then 2-player games on board games, I think, is something that is growing because it's sometimes a bit more difficult, especially since COVID, to gather people around. So yeah, being able to play with your significant other is a good opportunity.
The other one was, wait, hold on, I have a couple more here. So what inspired you to join and lead a tabletop company? This is more of a personal question for you, Thomas.
It was not really planned. I was getting bored at doing strategy consulting, and I saw a job offer for a CEO of a board game company in France looking for a chief of staff. That was, 11 years ago in 2015. Took a shot. I was an avid gamer. Seven Wonders had brought me back to playing games a few years earlier. I had lapsed like many people, but I do come from a player background, Black Eye, the SPI war games and stuff like that I used to play when I was 12. But anyways, and so, yeah, and then I had the chance of combining passion for games and jobs I'm seemingly good at, which led me progressively, and it was built over years to becoming CEO 2 years ago. Yeah.
I have another one here for you, Thomas, as well, too. So what makes you most proud when seeing others enjoying asmodee games?
It's seeing people from so many different backgrounds around, as I said earlier, around the table, sharing a good moment. I mean, you can be supporting opposite football or soccer or hockey teams, and still have a good moment playing a game. So yeah, it's the fact that it brings people together and the joy that it brings. I mean, we're in a world where there is a lot of gloom or a lot of uncertainty, and just the sheer moments of joy and seeing people laugh playing games is something that I look forward to.
Right.
Oh,
Go
there's
back
a
to the
question
app.
over there. There.
Oh, question. Hold on. Hi, Bosco.
Hi, I'm Bosco from Board Game Bliss. A question for you. In your eyes, what do you think a successful retail store looks like, and what is the character of it?
Sure. It's a very good and very complex question. A successful store, I think, I mean, you all start with the passion. So this we can tick the box, and the knowledge of games. I think that it's having an assortment that can serve anybody that pushes the door, not just the hardcore gamers, not just the gamers that are in for the latest novelty and are chasing the latest novelties. I think that's something that's important. Then, to be clear, a good store is very different between Europe and North America, just because of a problem of size. But having a play area, being able to gather the community, I think, is something that's very important. And that cherishing your community, building it, engaging with them online, having the events, whether it's TCG gaming, TCG evenings or board games, discovery evenings, etc. I think that's the most important part. It's animating the community so that people come back and talk about you to their friends.
All right. We have a couple more questions. What is something we should all make sure to look at or visit while at this conference? It's a good one.
It's a good one. Have a look at the Game Gen X accessories. It's the new cool stuff.
Let's see here. We have...
Play games. Play games.
Yeah, play games.
Whatever games. Play
gotta
games.
play games.
Just spend time playing games.
The other questions we have are more specific to distribution, but I'm kind of curious. Let's see. Let's go towards like mass market questions a little bit. So how does Asmodee plan to market games in mass markets like Amazon specifically, or is there like a strategy around it?
Yeah, that's a globally question. First of all, there is a balance to be found between the mass market, the onliners, and the hobby retailers. I mean, at our level, I think hobby is like 1/3 of our business. So it is a very significant chunk. And we want hobby to be as strong as possible. Because, as I said, a lot of games, the long-term successes were born in the hobby. Catan was born in a hobby. Ticket to Ride was born in a hobby. Double was born in a hobby. And then grew outside. Mass market is interesting because it enables you to reach consumers that might not push the door of a hobby store because they're more impulse buying, because they want to buy the thing they saw on TikTok or Instagram. So I think there should be games for everybody. It's just that we should avoid cannibalization and really preserving the benefits that each retail channel brings.
All right. A couple more questions. When is Pokemon happening in Canada? And when is One Piece TCG also coming to Asmodee in Canada?
Yes. No, I have no answers to those. It's relationships we're building. I think Pokemon has very strong relationships that are existing. They value long-term relationships. We're fortunate to benefit from it in many countries in the world. Fortunately, not Canada. And to be honest, One Piece, I don't know, but it's something we're working on probably.
Yeah. I think if we build the right mechanism, it'll make that decision happen by itself. Today, the distributors that are distributing those products are having good relationships, and we even support those relationships for them. We will be ready whenever. A lot of that comes from our customers, right? Ultimately, whatever the customers want, the customers get. So if they want to buy more products, it's important for you guys to communicate with those suppliers and saying, hey, I would like to buy my products through asmodee. And maybe it's not the case. But if it is, you guys can share it. But right now, we're really focused on building a really good TCG team. And the more we give to it, and the bigger that gets, we should be able to attract the other parts that are missing.
There was another question concerning distribution while we're discussing. There was also plans to start distributing Bandai's TCG in Canada. Do we know if it's part of the same?
This is the type of relationship that is ongoing, that we currently have, that we discuss, but these things don't happen overnight. And to Thomas' points, right now, a lot of these guys are hoping for more stability than just change for change, right? So they need to make sure that if they take this leap of faith with a new distributor, that it's going to pay dividends. Things do happen in cycles. You mentioned it. We're just making sure that our cycle is ready for when their cycle is ready.
Yeah, it has to bring added value to everybody. I mean, we are very respectful of existing relationships. It's something that's very important. And for the publishers, I mean, it's always hard to take the risk of breaking something that works. So the only thing we can do is be the best at what we can, like what we do, and then maybe.
I have a really good one actually here that this one is AI related. So how do you see AI impacting Asmodee and retailers in the coming years as it becomes a tool we all use more and more?
It's a very good question that frightens people. First thing I would like to say that people should not be afraid. And the reason behind it is that I do not believe AI will replace people. It should not replace people. And once people realize that if they can make AI their ally or help them be even better at what they do, then I think the world is open to them. After that, of course, there are areas that, I mean, we want to do it responsibly. That's for sure. So on the creative side, very clearly, I mean, we're a people business and a people first business. But then if it can help us target better consumers so that they can discover games, if it can help you manage your inventory in a better way, your purchasing from your various suppliers, if it can help anybody be better, then why not? But again, it can only be an add-on to people.
All right. Let's go back to Mass a little bit. We have new questions here. So any advice for stores to succeed when we have to compete with the big guys like Amazon and Walmart, for instance?
Find your place, be different. I mean, nobody can beat Amazon at their own game. They will be faster and cheaper. But what you have is the community, very clearly. As I said, Amazon has no community. They just have price. The level of recommendation, to be honest, is people who bought this also bought that. Great. You are in a unique position where everybody knows that within 3 or 4 questions, people will leave with a box that they will have a good time with, and likelihood that they will come back is extremely strong. So it's really nurture your strengths, your community, the engagement, probably analyze your what's on your shelves, what's working less, and being a bit dynamic, and exchange with your sales rep on what is working, what can work better, etc. But be different. I think that's the motto.
All right. Let's go with one final question. Anybody have live questions that you'd like to ask Thomas while he's with us here? Questions? Anyone? I'll go with one final one here.
There's one in front.
Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry.
No, thank you. Hi. So I have experience working in strategy and operations for very large public traded companies. How does Asmodee look at potentially gathering more sort of that intake information and data from potential retailers versus just your distribution numbers?
That's something that would be extremely valuable. It would need to bring value both to the retailers and to us. It has to be a win-win partnership. But yes, and I think that there was a question on AI, managing data and being able to get the objective in the end is to have better insights for everybody. I mean, there is no point in us having great insights if we do not share them with you. But it takes time. It's complicated to put in place. How do you gather the data? So bear with us, and maybe in a few years, we'll have stuff that we can deploy together.
And if I can add, in Canada, we do have Circana, which is a global
That's true.
sellout. I guess go up sellout on sellout data in Canada. The Circana data is extremely poor. They only polled a couple of larger retailers. So if you compare to some of the more of the core products we sell, there's a stark contrast. So the people that look at Circana to do their buying, like the larger retailers, it's an echo chamber. They always be seeming to buy the same things because that's what shows up on Circana. We had good conversation with them, even with Randolph, seeing that couldn't they happen to gather the retail data from either distributors or more of the hobby shops. There's not a lot of appetite for that right now, but it's something we're actually actively trying to work with them.
Any other questions? I have a new one here concerning pricing. What are your thoughts on map pricing?
So it's something that doesn't exist in Europe. It's illegal in Europe. There are two sides to the coin, right? One is nobody wants to see a product heavily discounted constantly from those that are able to move very big volumes, right? That don't really care about the individual margin of one sale, but it's the volume. And it's unfair competition to stores, right? So I think that it's a useful tool sometimes to maintain a healthy competitive environment that should be used, but always, not on everything. But yeah, it's a tool.
Yeah, for those who do remember, we used to have map pricing when we started. We stopped doing it. There was a couple of reasons for that. One, it's extremely hard to enforce. While it helps some parts of the retail industry, it puts pressure on others. We rather use different tools for making sure the larger retailers don't go crazy off price and putting our efforts through there and letting the market stabilize. Because in Canada, map pricing needs a lot of workarounds compared to the US. The US laws are quite clear on how map pricing can apply. In Canada, there's a lot of workarounds needed to make a map policy compliant by legal laws here in Canada. It's something that we felt was not sustainable. So a lot of people really were sad when we dropped it. I think it was just being clear with ourselves and not lying that it was impossible to enforce.
Any other questions? So let's close with this last one. Since you're here, Thomas, that's a cool one actually, maybe for both of you. Like, what are the main differences between like what you guys are seeing with the European stores versus the Canadian stores? Are there any like specific differences that you guys see on the market with stores?
Generally, European stores are smaller. They have less ability to engage with the community, so they have to do a lot more online engagement. We try to help them sometimes build relationship with like cafes or hotels so that they can have like external gaming nights, things like this, and trying to combine. I haven't visited enough Canadian stores to compare to. I've seen a lot of American stores, but that's the biggest difference I've seen is this. And then I think there is a lot of similarities in the fact that, yes, TCGs take more and more space, take more and more of your cash. We all know that's the most difficult part is nobody has bottomless pockets. And so arbitrating every single day between where I put my cash to buy what, to sell what is the biggest struggle for everybody. And it's shared.
All right, thank you. All right, we're good.
All right. Thank you very much, Thomas. Thanks again. And thanks for the questions. The app saved everyone's a little shy. I can really appreciate that. But thanks for those questions. There'll be another question session after I present these two people and they do their presentation. But I want to make sure that I introduce you guys to Melanie Wattier, who most people know from last year. I did the presentation with Melanie. Melanie is VP of Marketing and Purchasing. And why this is an important position for us, one, it's really a huge part of our business, but how we bring products to market is really intimately tied to how much we bring in and which supplier we work with and how we work with those suppliers, especially those external suppliers that are so important to us. A huge part of revenue comes from the external suppliers, and this is where her role really comes to shine. So welcome to the table. And Jason is our new VP Sales. He's been with us for 3 months. Jason brings a tremendous knowledge base from sales, but also from operations. And this is where it's key for us that every time there's a sales moment, or there's a sale, or trying to close out, you're trying to have a booking program, what is the impact on operations? Jason always thinks on this. And ultimately, everything that we buy needs to go out the door, and it needs to go out the door the most efficient way. And today, having someone that heads sales, but also has this operational mindset really, really helps us. And together, those two will set us up for the future. And it starts a little bit today. Thanks.
That's on. That's on. So thank you all for being here with us today. That was the Jason slide. Show of hands, who's at Canada Plays for the first time today? Oh, awesome. Thanks for being with us. Who's here for the 4th time? Quite a few of those too. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming. Canada Plays is always a little bit special for us. It's one of the rare times in the year that we're able to stop, think about something a little bit bigger than just individual products and games. Think about the industry, think about the players, think about all the different people who make this work. This year was, as Thomas mentioned, very special. Asmodee celebrated 30 years, and a lot has changed in those 30 years. We've gone from being in an industry that was very niche and novelty to having mainstream relevance, from being very product focused to now more and more focusing on experience. We're in an industry that's quite complex with a lot of different players, with the intention of making it more accessible as new players and new communities are coming into the hobby. And we've moved from simply buying to having a real focus on community and on belonging. It's about connection, it's about shared moments, and the players remain at the center of it all. If we zoom in on the last year, Thomas called it busy. I'm going to call it a little bit crazy. It was a really crazy year. Globally, Asmodee became publicly traded, which changed internally a lot of different things for us. Hopefully not too much on your end. The consumer-facing branding was actually a really big shift because it changes how we're talking to every single audience. It changes who we're talking to, how we're speaking with them, and how we're presenting ourselves and the hobby. The idea isn't just we want to sell one game. The idea is we want to get players to understand that this hobby is a great one. We want them to be coming towards us. The Canadian journey was a really big one, obviously with the merger of Lion Rampant and Asmodee, changing offices, navigating everything that was happening globally and trying to remain as stable as possible. So again, thank you all for sticking with us, for your patience, for your communication as we were going through that. One of the really positive things that we've seen through this merger that's taken us to a different level, and we're already seeing it this year, is the amount of insight that having Lion Rampant and Asmodee merged provides. The insight into the portfolio of having the owned studios congruent and side by side with everything that's published, so we can identify those gaps and make sure that we have the right games for all of our players. So what's happened in the world, obviously it impacts all of us. Whether we're impacted by economic pressures, geopolitical instability, technological changes, social changes, everything forces us to look at how we're making decisions, how we're buying, how we're playing, how we're spending our time. You guys see it in your day-to-day with the changes that you have. People who are coming in stores may not be the hobby player who knows exactly what they want. It's somebody new who's looking for advice, who needs you to guide them through this very, very complex buying decision-making. Jay spoke a little bit about Circana. Circana has two sides. So does anybody here actually use Circana data, actually? A you. Okay. There's two sides to Circana. Circana will provide really the output product-based by mass account where you'll see exactly how games are positioned and where things are selling. They also have a much more general market, general population side where they'll give market insights, trends and all of that. That's very different. This here is really more about the public-facing general data. It's not specific. It's specific to gaming, but it's not specific to our toy industry. So as of 2026, January 2026, consumer pessimism is down from last year, which is a really good thing. Optimism has risen, and maybe most importantly, across age groups, there's a cautious but real willingness to spend on non-essentials. What it means is that people are spending money on entertainment. They're spending money on travel, on leisure. So it's not this recessionary, we're not doing anything. There is an intentional spend on non-essentials. And in uncertain times, people aren't going to stop looking for joy. They're not going to stop looking for moments of connection. They're just going to seek them out more intentionally. We'll take a moment to talk about some trends. There were a few questions around trends. This one is really important to us. We have consumer science researchers that are looking at these things every single day, and there's two that come up quite frequently that we want to share with you as we think they might have an impact on the retail business. Just to make sure we have the same working definition of trends, trends are essentially a moment, there's a trigger event, whether it's geopolitical, economic, social, it creates a societal impact and then leads to a change. Very simple. Concretely, in the board game market, there's undergoing a major transition. So both in terms of audiences and expectations. A little bit later this afternoon, you'll have the opportunity to hear from Vincent Berry, who's a professor based out of France. He's working with Game & Lab. And he'll speak about normalization of play, and he's going to speak about, in a lot more detail, but very database information on how that's creating a shift in the market. So that he and his team, they really study this very, very detailed way. So with this transition, what it means is that our core gamers are still there. Our core gamers are just as strong, if not stronger. But now it's all the periphery that's getting bigger. It's those additional audiences that are adding themselves to the hobby where before they just weren't part of it. So our teams are tracking these trends much more closely and on a much tighter timeline. It's one of those things that with technology, with all the AI that's available, with everything that's happening online, everything is moving very, very quickly. So you can't look at it 1 year over 1 year. There's sometimes 6 months or 3 month cycles. So what's happening? So in the past, hobby, board gaming, tabletop gaming was very, very niche. With COVID as one of the trigger events, lockdowns changed how people were able to socialize. They changed how people were able to be together and connect. Social circles became smaller, closer, more selective. And when you're spending a lot more time with a lot fewer people, you probably don't want the same amount of confrontation. So we saw a lot of two-player games come up, solo games, cooperative games, casual games, things that were much less about competition and beating your opponent and more about how you're going to play together. Gaming that starts serving new purpose now start opening up this new audience. So you have the friend that now played a new game, you have a parent that's playing with their child, completely changing how games were previously perceived as a very geek hobby. So simultaneously, another big shift that happened during that time is that the marketing spend and how we were reaching our audiences changed drastically. Previously, almost 100% of our budgets in marketing were spent on events. In those events, you were essentially speaking to the already converted audience. COVID happens, everything goes online. Now, all of a sudden, the pool of people that we're able to reach is significantly bigger, building these new audiences that previously we weren't necessarily investing in going to go get. And what's happening now is we're seeing tabletop games at this brink of pop culture integration, where we're seeing IPs being added onto games. We see them in entertainment and TV shows, movies, games just seem to be everywhere. So I want to repeat again, obviously, core gamers not going anywhere. That piece of our audience remains very stable and growing. It's really that additional audience that's around us. So recent data suggests that actually 3 out of 4 adults are playing at least once every 6 months, which is an increase in the frequency. What we don't know specifically, is it just that they're saying they're playing more because now it's not as taboo to say you're playing, or are they actually playing more? But what players want is that they want to discover their games easily. They want to walk into a store and they want to very quickly come out with something that's right for them. They want to have the advice and the confidence to know that what they're choosing, what they're buying is the right thing. I like it, I learn it, I buy it. Word of mouth is obviously significant. It's huge. When we have thousands of new games coming out every single year, you all need to make a choice of what you're going to promote in store just as much as we need to make a choice about what we're going to focus on when we have those games coming out. So going sometimes to familiar IPs, recognized themes, things that they can relate to helps with the decision-making going forward. Another big piece is the very welcoming game night. So game nights used to be about we're going to sit down, we're going to play for 5 hours, and that's what our night is centered around. There's a shift there which allows gaming to be much more accessible to more people, in that the main course may not be a game, but you may have an appetizer or dessert that ends up having gaming around it. And very often those are quick, portable, easy to learn games. They get played, they get adopted, everybody has a good time. All of a sudden it's what's being bought for teachers and friends and in gift bags, and it spreads very quickly, which leads to the virality of games. We've seen this with things like Flip 7 this year, right? A game that is such a great game, so easy to learn, so quick to share. All of a sudden, it's out of stock. You can't keep it on the shelves fast enough. We can't get it in for you fast enough. But you can't always expect when that's going to happen. It just comes so quickly. I think I saw this week 12 retailers post, "We're so happy we've got our big pile of Flip 7 back in stock." And it's amazing because it's such an influence on how the community is buying and what they're buying. So play is really opening up different avenues. And 2 of the ones that our consumer science people are looking at are going to be the next 2. So the silver generation. Who here is consciously in store talking to the silver generation? Oh, quite a few. Fantastic. The silver generation was a completely new term to me. I learned about this a few months ago. This is my life goal, by the way. I actually want to be these people later on. But it's essentially the concept that 60 is the new 30, right? 30 years ago, if you were 60 years old, you were thought of as the Golden Girls. Now it's Jennifer Aniston, and it's all these people who are in their late 50s, and it's a completely different shift of perception, of lifestyle, and of what it means to age differently. So the silver generation is really redefining how they're aging. They're staying active, they're playing, they have hobbies, they're traveling, they're all about wellness in their retirement age. And many of them are actually working into their 60s, their 70s, and some even later. They have a disposable income, they have time, and they're often buying for multiple generations. They're buying for themselves and their circle of friends. They're buying for family members. They're buying for children and sometimes the grandchildren. I don't know if you've ever seen a bunch of 7-year-old ladies play Telestrations by dark, but it is absolutely hilarious. It's my mom and her friends' favorite games. Never would have thought that, but it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to see. So our UX team is really honing in on this generation, trying to understand how they're buying, where they're going to buy, what they're buying, and what's influencing them. Is it the store? Is it something online that they're seeing? How are they making their decisions? And how can we make sure that we're getting them the games that get them and continue to keep them in the hobby? Retailtainment is the second one. You guys know this word? Is it by a show of hands, who's heard retailtainment? 1, 2, 3. new to me as well. Retailtainment is more than just having a good in-store experience. It's more than organized play. It's more than just demos. It's about making sure that we're rewarding our customer for getting off the couch and choosing to come in store to get advice, choosing brick and mortar over an online AI-generated answer. We're activating their senses. We're giving them an experience that they're going to go back and speak about you to their friends and family. We want to make sure that they understand that there's a value to going to store. This is really, really important, and it's something that we think we have a role to play in. Tama mentioned earlier about how Asmodee is there to support, to be a strong partner to our retail stores. By learning this, by understanding what this means, it makes a big difference in how we're able to support the in-store experience. So it could be through interactive displays, booths, whatever it may be that supports the experience you'll provide for the consumer. Want to go through this just very quickly because you did hear about it in the previous one from the more global perspective. There obviously is a lot of continuity between our global ambitions and how it plays out locally. We're really looking to be next level partners to our retailers. It's what drives us. It's what brings all of our teams together. We do that by offering a strong, healthy, diverse portfolio. The better games that we're able to get you, the better off you are as well for your consumers. TCGs, we spoke about it already, and you'll hear about it again as Jason goes through a little bit of the programs. It's so significant to operations, to sales, to what's happening in store, and to building communities. It's a great gateway, and especially with a lot of the IPs that are tied to TCGs, there's a gateway into hobby that didn't exist previously. In making people play, so much comes out of this. For us, this includes things like Canada Plays. We're here over 2 days. We all get to play hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games, demo programs, being at consumer events, in-store activations. All of that contributes to how we manage to make people play. And ultimately, a game in every home remains the big ambition that we have, or the guiding principle. I'll hand it over to Jason. He's going to walk you through a little bit more concretely some of the programs that exist and some of the things that are coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Mel. No problem.
Yep.
Good morning. So this is my first Canada Plays. Thank you. Right? And thank you for applauding. I think that's important for all of us. Right? The reality is that this is an awesome opportunity for all of us. And as we just learned from Mel and Thomas as well, hobby and what consumers are looking for and what players are looking for is more. They want to live in a moment. And I'm seeing that. As a first-time Canada Plays participant, I'm seeing that. And I'm seeing it on 2 different levels. So let's look at the right side. Let's look at what you guys are doing. Hobby retailers. You are unbelievable entrepreneurs. Okay? Hats off to you. Hard work. You're putting in the hours. That's the reality. You're also experts in product. You become incubators in new games. And you're creating opportunities not only to sell the product, yeah, the sales guys like that, right? But also to give gamers the opportunity to have organized play. Now let's look at the other side of the equation, which is the player community, right? The player communities are people who are dedicated. They're spending their own time, their own money, they're going out, they're doing things, right? Their passion is being played in your own stores, right? Through organized play. That's incredible, right? They're coming in. That makes them the ambassadors really for the games and also for your stores. They're engaging the community. Super important. This relationship, right, really is very symbiotic. Why? Because you're almost boring off of each other. And gamers now are looking for something bigger and better and more of a gathering, kind of like we saw yesterday, right? Kind of like we all did yesterday. So how does Asmodee come into that equation and join in, right? How do we help elevate? How do we help support what Melanie's talking about and bring things to the next level? Well, we're going to do it in 4 different ways. We're going to promote in-store activities, right? We're going to provide category support and marketing initiatives. As we go into investing in programs, right? We're going to invest in programs, but also invest in-store POP. What does the store look like? What is the environment that people can play in? Super important. And then finally, we're going to look outside of not only the hobby retail location, your bricks and mortar. We're also going to support the communities, how to drive people into the stores, how to have a better experience, right? That's super important because it's that symbiotic relationship that we all want to have together to make sure that people are having, as Melanie explained, a great experience playing games. It's a memorable experience. I had a great time and changing and making sure that we have a game in every home. As you shift our focus, what becomes the focus to make this happen? Well, experiment. This is a tough word for me. I'm the sales guy, by the way. This is a very marketing word, right? So experiential focus. What does that mean? If you're a sales guy, you're not very smart. It means bringing people together. So look at what we're doing here today, Canada Plays. Look at what Tommy, Hobby Next, does. Look at what Organized Play does. It brings people together, and we're talking about studios, publishers, distributors, right? Gamers, retailers, all in one place to have an amazing experience. It's very, very memorable, right? And these memorable, emotional moments that we're all going to have together, as we did yesterday, none of that could ever happen sitting behind some computer screen ordering, right? And that brings it to the next level, where what we want to do is we want to turn one-time buyers who have these great emotional ties with games into becoming players, right? It's not transactional anymore. It's an event. It's an emotion. And that's very important. So one of the ways and the greatest ways we can go about making this shift and this change and creating that emotion and that environment with your help is through this. So Hobby Next, quick show of hands, because I learned about Hobby Next, as Jay pointed out. I've only been here for 3 months. So who here knows about Hobby Next, right? Holy smokes, you guys, look at that. You guys are way smarter than me. Who here actually participates in Hobby Next? So that's important as well. So Hobby Next, as it was explained to me, a lot of confusion around that, and I want to make sure that we're clear on this. Hobby Next is not that goodie program, right? You're getting swag and things like that. Hobby Next is a all very comprehensive program that combines not only the marketing but the sales aspect to create an environment where hobby stores, bricks and mortar stores, can create an environment for players to enjoy themselves and have an incredible time. And that's super important because that's the goal, right? We want to create that hype. Whoop. Sorry. So the goals of the program are quite simple. We are going to have a very, very global approach to selecting the games and doing the programs, making sure how do we create more of that hype. We're going to have a federated local approach. What does that mean? It means looking at everything and bringing people together. Not the gamers come together. We involve the local communities. We're getting all the hobby bricks and mortar retail partners in play. So it's that very symbiotic relationship. Obviously, we want to create an environment which is enriching the gaming experience, right? It's not transactional anymore. We're going to have lots of fun. We want to sit down. People see the environment that they're playing in. They're sitting back going, wow, that was great last night. I'm having a great time. And we're going to take that to the next level, which is offer players the opportunity to talk about it online, right? Continue the cycle, which is a work in progress, but that's the plan. We're going to keep talking about it so that people hear about it, their friends, their community. We're shifting people out of just transactional buys and into playing. Playing and Hobby Next comes in 2 kind of formats. That's just me, the new guy talking, right? How do I have to break it down? So on one side, obviously Organized Play is that powerhouse. It's TCG. And as we've heard a couple of times today, it's growing and it will continue to grow, right? And it's a lot of money and everything else. It's that great experience. How do we elevate that? On the flip side of TCG is the other half of what I'm learning and as I categorize it, which is the board game piece. So think about the amount of board games there are that you see and you know about and you hear about. And this number for me was staggering to learn this. You realize that there are roughly 5,000 to 8,000 board game titles released every year, according to Board Game Geek? 5,000 to 8,000. That's a lot of games. What are we going to focus on, guys? Like, that's a lot. Of that 5,000 to 8,000, 3,000 of them, 5,000 to 8,000 with expansions. 3,000 of those are pure games, right? Every year. And we have to figure out what we're going to focus on. From there, 80% of those 3,000 games probably will never see a second reprint. That's kind of a staggering number when you think about it. So how do we start looking at games when there's just so many of them and start whittling it down to a manageable number, right? So we can all talk and we can focus, we can grow that and create that great environment that we want to work in. Well, there's 6 things that we have to do. And those 6 things, as we grow that, we bring that number down to a manageable number, it's called a KNR, key new releases, right? Those key new releases of that big, big number comes down and it becomes to this. We need to focus on 6 things. So first of all, we're going to look at a curated new releases, right? What is out there? What is available to us? The next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at target quality over quantity. That's important. To have that great experience, you want to make sure the games are of unbelievable quality. We're going to look at an alignment between studios and countries. Why? Because it's important for studios to understand the uniqueness and the requirements of the marketplace. We're going to obviously talk about proactive production strategies, because if something is good and something is people are enjoying playing it and something is exciting and something is getting traction, we need to be able to react quickly to that, because you're going to need to be able to react quickly to it as well and fill the shelves and keep it going, right? So looking at things, looking at products from those 3,000 that allow us to have quick reprints. The last 2, post-care and improved analytics. Well, post-care is, I like to call it the launch and leave theory. We can't just simply, if our plan is to be very symbiotic and have everyone have a great opportunity and play games, we can't just launch it out there and say, good luck, hobby people, have a great day. That's not realistic. That's not expected, and we expect ourselves to do better than that. So we want to launch one of our KNRs, follow up with you, get the data, get the information, and that's important where that 6th piece comes in, to understand the analytics. Get your feedback, work with our sales team to ask you questions. What are you hearing? What are you seeing? And we'll take it even to the next level, because I heard the word Circana, I think from Jay earlier today, even going out and purchasing actual data about these games and the industry in order to help support what's the next wave. All right? So KNRs, imagine 3,000, 5,000 to 8,000, that gets cut back to 3, the 3, and then what are we going to focus on? Well, here are some of the requirements. Right? So we're going to cut down the number of key new releases for the coming year. And then what are we going to do when we finally decide on what they are? Well, 4 pieces of the puzzle. Whoops. 4 pieces of the puzzle. 1, we're going to go big into marketing and advertising. So once you hear the word key new release, you know Mel's team, where they are going to do awesome things, because they're going to go big in marketing and advertising. The other pieces, salespeople, us, we're going to tell you about it earlier. Build the hype, talk about it, share it with your communities, right? It's super important to do. Hobby Next, things that are at grassroots community levels. Tommy, who keeps walking around and is our great MC today, he runs Hobby Next, if you didn't know that. He's going to become more involved in supporting that opportunity for us. And then finally, we talked about quick reprints. And I mentioned it before because it's part of that group of 6. How do we make decisions? We have to make sure that we are watching and listening and hearing what you tell us. And we're getting that feedback in order to quickly react to it, to have those reprints. You know, you don't want to be out of stock, but it's something that you need to look at. And we always have to pay attention to as part of the key new releases. So I'm going to pause. I like to see everyone kind of going, So is anyone curious to know what they are? Yeah. So key new releases are these. So think of that, the 5,000 to 8,000 that went through all the reviewing and all the filtering. And I'm going to step aside and let you guys kind of look at this for a second. And it goes down and has to meet all the goals and has to meet all the parameters in order to make the standard of what is a key new release. So right off the bat, let's break it down into two pieces. Everything you see above the timeline in blue is specific selection was made for hobby retailers, bricks and mortar in mind. All right? And then because this was a slide made by a sales guy who's not very good at doing PowerPoint, we're going to throw in a fifth one right here. HobbyNet right here. So you're going to get 5 key new releases that are specifically designed and selected that went through all that testing and all that filtering by a team. It's not just us. There's an army of people that are on Miles' team and in Thomas's team in Europe that are designed specifically to do this, right? 5 new, and you see the timelines. The other 3, so everything you see here in global, the other 3, Ninjago, Azul Kids, and Azul Flip, those 3 are for global markets, right? Have an immediate impact globally. But they're still available to you, but they're obviously something that's much bigger. And for me, I'm going to pause right here, and I'm going to say one thing about one game because I thought it was awesome. Azul Kids. I'm a father of 4. Oof, I say that every time I shake my head. Feel pity for me, okay? I'm a father of 4. Asmodee kids, I think I saw you back there. Hello. These people, one, they came all the way from France. If you don't know anything about this game, if you're not a parent, but you have someone who comes to your store as a parent shopping for children, you need to learn about this game. They're doing a presentation today. It is an awesome game. I would greatly appreciate as a father with children who's a consumer as well, spend time learning about their game because it is, where was it 10 years ago type of thing. That's all I can think in my mind. All right? So I don't want to steal the thunder on everything, but you kind of understand the complexity in K&R and how it all ties together, right? What's our goal? What's our focus? Why are we doing it? How do you go from the big, bring it down to the medium, and how it all ties back into your retail stores for bricks and mortar, creating that environment, creating that fun time. Lastly, our focus, right? How does all this come together? Our focus hasn't changed and will not change this year. We're still going to focus on keystone games. We're still going to focus on the evergreens. Those are the ones that, think of it, generation after generation of games have been out there. They've been great. They keep going. My kids will continue to play these games. We're talking about K&R. I just walked you through the complexity of what K&R is. Thousands of games that then get cut back down to where the core focus is and how do we help this and how this is relationship work together. The group priorities, I think Thomas touched on that earlier as well. We can't just leave everything else alone and pretend it doesn't exist. It's still important for us globally to look at games and to support and to also support your communities and your players. And then finally, putting in partnerships with our studios on local priorities. Reality is that the Canadian market is very different than the US. And even within Canada, we have very unique markets, right? Think of language just alone. Language is a key component. So we have to be cognizant of that. And then the last piece is all the nurturing opportunities we can have when it comes to games and supporting the ones we've loved, the ones that need that extra one. But what does that mean? We've heard it a few times today, right? A game in every home. Now, I'm going to use Melanie's expertise, global approach, the data and everything. By allowing us to focus on, rather than getting away and focusing on single games and focusing on groups and categories of games in combination with community, this allows us to make a shift and bring buyers and players to have a great environment and a great experience while playing, and then makes a shift from getting a singular buyer to become a player. And when a buyer becomes a player, that means they're going to want to buy more games, And the end goal is this: to have a game in every home. That's it. I'm done. So I believe at this point we have a Q&A. I don't know. I'm 3.5 months in. So you can ask me a lot of questions, but I might occasionally defer them to someone with a little more history with the organization.
I'm going to be here to support you, Jay.
Oh.
Thank you, Melanie. Thank you, Jason. And a reminder to everyone, Jason has a lot of mouths to feed and needs sales. That was clear. Hopefully it's a little bit less intimidating to ask questions to us, and no good or bad questions. So if anyone has any questions, just raise your hand.
And also, like, if you don't feel like asking a question in this group, we're here all day, right? I just asked for the shorter version of Jason from Asmodee. That's me. I look very tall on stage, but
We have a question over here.
Yeah, thanks.
How's it going? So other large distributors have essentially a demo budget for their retailers. Say it could be like $300 a year, $400 a year kind of thing for retailers to spend on demo versions of the games. And I'm hoping that, maybe asmodee might consider something like that model, especially for their KNRs.
Yeah, absolutely. Even I think, Tommy, you can probably speak to that. But we want to refine the demo program this year. Some of the findings that we have done made clear sense that the more people play, the easier it is. And I'll even go as far as saying the people that have board game cafes or people that use the game so much that they're worn out should almost be entitled to a special program. But yes, this is something that's quite in the works. Today, what we have is through the sales rep, they're quite flexible. So if you're not asking, you might not be getting, but we're going to have something a little bit more robust in the next few months, if not weeks.
That is a fact. I'm working on this now. Actually.
Tommy, I think you got a question right behind you.
Behind me, yeah. There, go ahead.
A few slides ago, hearing my own voice. Few slides ago, you had a few steps of areas that you were going to focus on. One of them was the production cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And just for my own knowledge, I'm not really familiar how Asmodee would interact with the production pipeline of manufacturers. So can you kind of shed some light on that?
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing that they've done over the last 3 years, more recently, a big shift over the last years, they've centralized all production for all things Asmodee through one team in Europe. Okay, and even the U.S. studios now, there's the U.S. team, but then the whole production is coordinated through the Europe team. Historically, things would happen like, well, the bigger studio would push this supplier to get their things out before those other things, and despite us all being in the same family. Today, having one group manage this allows us to secure production time, but not necessarily production for everything. So this allows on a key to release, saying we've got this production time scheduled at the factory, and we'll be able to shift up something because it's managed by one team. So while the objective with the Kino release is to shorten the replan time, there's still going to be a gap, but it's making that gap as short as possible, especially for everything that's built in Asia. The boat alone is 4 weeks to get here, and then there's the train from Prince Rupert to Montreal or wherever it's going. So those things won't necessarily be able to change, but the production will change. So just having this global approach allows us to slot in exactly what we need. And because the Kino release program is a global program, it's one of the key metrics that they have. They've secured the second and third production runs in case they need to be moved up. Does that answer your question?
I guess follow-up question. Maybe I'm loud enough. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Follow-up question should be, what? I didn't realize that you guys were active in manufacturing. So maybe could you just quickly touch on what lines you're active manufacturers for? Like I can think of Asmodee as a supplier, a distributor that carries a variety of games. And I had issues with stock issues with some of those games.
Yeah.
So some of those you aren't responsible for manufacturing and have no control over the production timelines, but some of them you are. Where's the division and how would we identify that?
Yeah. It is important to point out that there's like 60-65% of revenue comes from third party. Our relationship with them would vary from we'll pick and choose from US inventory, bring it as we need, or we will join them on print runs out of Asia, right? So there's I guess a plethora of types of ways we work with them. Ultimately, we do not assist in any which way with production from their products, right? So that's sometimes we're just the box movers. When we look at products that we can really control in terms of production, yeah, that's where we make a difference. The rest we can make a difference sometimes on taking a little bit of more risk or working with a supplier on how that risk is mitigated and saying, okay, we'll give you 2 separate POs, but there'll be a sequence in between. It allows them to do certain things a certain way. But that's out of the 170 suppliers we have, there must be at least 120 different ways of working with them. So that's the tough part of our business. And sometimes we're out. I mean, Mel mentioned Flip 7, which is an amazing game. There are 2 distributors of 2 versions in Canada. And despite that, the Canadian market ran out many times. And trust me, everyone takes a huge amount, bigger than we always think we were needing. And all of a sudden it goes out real quick, which is the same as you guys. You guys buy 50 when you should have bought 30.